Hello, my name is Justin Howe, and today I'm going to talk to you about Module 11 and the process and recommendations for giving gifts to students or staff. First of all, giving gifts today is common practice in schools, commonly done for different reasons that we're going to talk about here. But it's important to remember to follow guidelines, district policy, just good practice, because you want to avoid any kind of impropriety. And you also want to avoid the appearance of impropriety, which can be almost as important, especially when operating as a principal of a school. So first off, giving gifts to students. When are they appropriate? They're appropriate for fundraising incentives. We've all been in schools when there was a contest of some kind, and in order to incentivize students, a gift of some kind was given away to the top sellers, for instance. That's perfectly okay. Also, special achievement awards. Maybe students who score high on a test would receive something. In a past school I was in, high achievers, high test takers would receive a day where the school would take them to the movies. So things like that are allowed. So fundraising incentives, more specifically, what should they be? They should be reserved for students to participate. Obviously, they should be age appropriate. Paid for with funds raised by the group receiving the gift. So those funds should come from the group that will benefit from. That just makes sense as well. The gift should be generic, and they shouldn't favor one group over another. The example given in the book was, not to buy gifts specifically for birthdays or for a particular class. They need to be a gift that can be used for any student. Just, again, not to show favoritism. Special achievement gifts should be nominal value, so not extremely expensive. They should be age appropriate, so consider your audience when purchasing these gifts. Sources for the funding. They should come from general funds. They could come from business donations. They could come from parent groups. Athletic funds, if we're talking about a maybe end of the season award banquet. I would say it's probably best if you can get business donations or parent groups to pay for these. That's probably always going to be a better option than using general funds. When it comes to gifts for staff members, you want to be guided by established procedures developed by a committee with regular meetings. So what you want to do is create a committee, a standing committee of faculty and staff that meets on a regular basis at least once a year, to look at gift-giving procedures, guidelines, and make purchases, things like that. So what kind of characteristics should these gifts have? For special occasion gifts, they should be reasonably priced. They should be paid for with staff remembrance funds. And remembrance funds, if you're not sure, are funded by annual dues and donations from the staff. So again, we're using funds from a group to reward a group, which is an important theme that's carried throughout this entire course. Manage these funds, these remembrance funds should be managed by a committee, again with regular meetings, made up of the individuals who will be rewarded, ideally. You never want to have a single individual making decisions about what kind of gifts to give or what to purchase. That's important to remember. What about fundraising incentive gifts? They're appropriate for those that participate in a fundraising effort. So if teachers are involved in that fundraising effort, it's perfectly okay to use those funds to buy gifts to incentivize it. But an important guideline to remember is it should not account for more than 5% of the profits, because the whole goal of this thing is to raise money, so we don't want to use an inordinate amount of that money to buy these gifts. If you want to have an all-staff gift, you should remember a few things. First off, they should come from approved sources. Staff-generated funds, like a vending machine sales or a bake sale, for instance, are perfectly legitimate to use. All school fundraising events that involve teachers are fine. And inexpensive gifts from the general fund may be allowed, but you should check with district policy on that. That's going to be an individualized thing, and it's probably not a recommended way of doing it. Finally, when using cash or cash equivalent gifts, gift certificates, or cash itself, you want to make sure that is reported as earned income for the employee that receives that gift. All right. Special effort gifts for specific students or staff members. For instance, if there's a long-term illness or a catastrophic event and the school community pulls together and raises money for that individual, how should that be handled? First of all, you're going to want to seek advice from the district accounting department to get some specialized counseling on this, because every district will probably have different guidelines on it. But again, it must be counted, just like cash or cash equivalent gifts must be counted as taxable wages by that employee. Finally, if possible, you might want to ask a parent organization or an outside group to coordinate this kind of a fundraiser, and perhaps use a financial institution to collect the funds. If the school can keep itself out of the fundraising efforts and financial aspect of the fundraiser, that's probably a better approach, just to avoid any chance of impropriety when dealing with these types of situations. All right, in conclusion, it's important that you avoid improper use of funds, obviously, and that you work to avoid the appearance of improper use of funds. And that concludes Module 11. Thank you.